yeah, it's one of the most epic moments I've had in quite some time, and it will probably go down as one of my favorite moments this year. I'm sad that it's in this game though, because I'm really not too hot on this game just because of all these amazing ideas. I was let down time and again by the gameplay. I think it's pretty bog standard. It's got some interesting ideas with the flying, which I think is underused. They should have given it to you early, and
Yeah,
actually
we
had
agree
some
on this.
interesting.
Games that front load those really cool, interesting mechanics, I find almost always get a bigger payoff from them.
Yeah,
People, because you get to play with it earlier, and as long as it's really as deep and interesting, and you use it well, people won't get bored.
yeah,
You know,
but there would also have to be a pretty huge paradigm shift for this game to achieve that, and that's what the level design, as you've mentioned. So it really falls short in many of the places that matter. Excuse me. This spear is getting me. Thematically, it is on point and it really awesome. It's what I want. This is my sort of aesthetic through and through, and it did wow me in several places. Even just listening to the guy talk about the fridge, like crying to me through the intercom. I'm watching him. So I'm just looking at his back, looking at this old rusty fridge, and he's staring at it, crying to me.
you can't see his face.
Yeah, and the sticky notes. That's a simple thing, but that really is a huge Twin Peaks sort of moment. Like, you'll just have to see it and be there to get that feeling. I don't know how to explain it. I guess better than I have, which was probably pretty poorly, but that was kind of a nostalgic moment, just seeing that, even though I've never seen it before. It's got a lot of great things, and I'm sad that it's wrapped
the
up
puppet
in this
show,
package.
just a
The
lot of
puppet
really
show's
good
really
idea.
interesting.
Yeah, these little, like, very creepy, but not like in the classic, oh, puppets are so scary. Just like this, just because they're not quite talking right, and they're saying things that, just don't make a lot of sense, and then they'll just stare at you for 60 seconds.
Yeah, and then another one is having the mentor talk about what a failure one of the kids is, and like she needs to succeed because that's really the only reason she's here, so why don't you just do better? And it's like, yeah, he's really tearing her down, but the purpose of those puppet shows existing is because there are a few kids that live in the oldest house and cannot leave, so they don't know what society is, and there are no proper teachers in the oldest house. There's not like a school for kids, so just a couple employees put on this really terrible puppet show, and you can find a few VHS tapes of that. Yeah, that's
good stuff.
callback. I forgot about that. So yeah, it's just wrapped up in a package that incorporates some, I think, pretty tired gameplay mechanics. I really think there was no reason for that progression system to be there.
I agree.
I think it's it's just a poor progression system. You can incorporate some more interesting ideas or combinations of your powers and your weapons instead of here's now 17% damage while you're aiming down sights.
What's good, though, is that it is a short experience. So if a lot of the ideas that you've heard are like, oh man, that's so up my alley, and that kind of stuff, should I play it, should I not? It's 10 hours. Like, it's not a waste of time. Go try it. Like,
Absolutely. And I got myself through the game. Well, I mean, I was going to see it through anyway because it is a short game. I had no reason not to finish it for the podcast. But there's some pretty decent customization here for, I won't say accessibility. There's nothing that's like strictly, at least in this section of the menu, nothing that is strictly for accessibility, but the difficulty in the game, there's not, easy, medium, hard. You can turn on, I think they call it assist mode. And then there's sliders for your ammo regen. So you don't pick up ammo, it just sort of regenerates because you have this weird BlackRock gun. And so you can increase the ammo regeneration, you can increase your damage multiplier, or you can or increase your damage multiplier, decrease the enemy's damage multiplier. You can turn on one hit and invincibility if you want. So there's a few options there, and I turned up for a little while. I think I turned it up about 20%, my ammo regen and my damage, because honestly, I had seen everything that the mechanics of the game had to offer pretty early on. The only thing I hadn't seen yet was flying, and we've already talked about how that really just floundered. In my opinion, I don't think we've spoken that strongly about it, but really, I think it's a failure. The flying.
I wouldn't call it a full failure. It's fun. Like I would just sometimes do it, even though I knew it wasn't the best option. Just because it feels good and
because
it's nice.
It feels so good, and it's a great idea, and it fits the world.
Sure. So I'm saying, like, sure, in terms of how you use it in combat as a failure, maybe, but how, and I'd say failure is a pretty strong word, but everything else about it and how it's implemented from a aesthetic, design, feel, all wins, all huge wins.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Failure might be strong. I'm just a little frustrated with.
He really wanted to like it, guys.
I really wanted this game to be in my top 10. I was ready.
Really
I was so ready for this game. So my own fault. I know. I overhyped it for myself. But what was I just saying? Oh yeah. If that's something that might turn you off, just like it does for me. I thought it was pretty stale. You can change that stuff to get through the combat quickly, which is very often. And they really lean on it too much. We didn't talk about that. We talked about the frequency of combat, but I think they rely on it too much as well.
Sure, it's the blocker on your path somewhere. It's the end destination. It's all that stuff.
But they also don't let anything. I don't think there's a single moment in the game that they just let resonate with you. Like one of my favorite examples.
Black Rock Quarry did. I had because you have to solve that puzzle first, and so
what puzzle?
You have to puzzle, strong word, just throw the the cubes onto the to power the drill, and once you activate the drill, that's when the enemies show up.
Sure, you're still doing bland video gamey stuff.
Sure, but it's slower, and I felt like I had time to think about it. That's why the moment stuck out to me.
I suppose, but when that idea really came into my head is when, and we didn't mention this space, when you walk into the recreation of Ordinary, which is the character's hometown. They've recreated this entire town with plywood because it, being a small town, has also become an archetype. And they found an object of power, which is an archetype that allows you to interact with the other plane, the astral plane. So the main one you get is a telephone, just a classic. It's a red telephone that you hang up. It's an old classic telephone that allows you to communicate with the astral plane. There's the fridge we talked about. But anyway, Ordinary has sort of become that. And the object of power was found in a dump outside, just outside of the town. So they recreated the town on a much smaller scale, probably like a 1/100th scale. And you can walk around and see her home, see the school she went to, and then she mentions the object of power was in the junkyard. I wonder where they put that. Well, it's literally outside of town. They put it in another section of the warehouse, but they shipped the entirety of the junkyard to the warehouse. So it's not a recreation of the junkyard. It's literally the junkyard that they picked up and moved. And she gets to walk around and sort of relive those moments. But there are 2 waves of enemies in each of those spots, which I think is really selling themselves short. Great ideas.
Yeah, go with it. Let those ideas really sit with you. Let that be the destination and the goal and your reward. It's just walking through this weird cardboard cutout space.
Yeah, I was physically frustrated when enemies showed up because she's walking through the town
and it's a good frustrated, wow. I think, for the game because you're saying that those moments are worth the time to stop.
Yes,
you know. And so, yeah, I think it's it's just more of a testament to the amount of good ideas here, and the word we keep coming back to, undermine.
Yeah,
undermined. So yeah, I think I can agree with you 100% on that. It's a shame that someone there felt that they needed to cover it with something else, because it could stand on its own and then some.